What's going on, York Yankees fans? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you guys haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that notification button so you get notified when a live stream pops or a video drops. Today I'm going to be talking about Aaron Hicks replacements. Aaron Hicks has a torn sheath in his wrist. He's going to get that repaired in Arizona. But meanwhile, the Yankees need to replace him in order to get a chance at making the playoffs. And they can't have any holes right now. They have a lot of injuries on the roster. Therefore, they need to have as many replacements in the plans as possible. So I'm going to go through a list here. Not all of them are going to be, the same as your guys' opinions. I'm also going to bring up some who are already on the IL in AAA. Possibly, if they come off the IL, we'll talk about it. But let's go with Brett Gardner first. This move has to be done with a couple other moves, in my personal opinion. And with Aaron Hicks going on the IL and, basically being out for the season, Brett Gardner can be the starting center fielder for the rest of the season. He can be. I'm not going to rule that out in any shape of fashion. However, they need to tighten up and get some outfield depth on the roster. This is going to need a corresponding move. Brett Gardner, center fielder. Clint Frazier, left fielder. Aaron Judge, right fielder. Stanton when he comes back, DH. Are you going to seriously have Miguel Andujar and Tyler Wade as your backup outfielders? Those are infielders. Now, Andujar, he's been playing a little more left field, so I can understand that. But Tyler Wade, he's the backup at second. He's the backup at shortstop and third base. Do you really want to be putting him in center field like he, did today? Or at least, yesterday, I should say. I mean, not today because it's already 12:18 in the morning when I'm recording. But my point is, do you really want to be putting him in center field? Doesn't make a lot of sense when you really have some tight holes on the roster. So this would have to be welcomed by a corresponding move. They would have to add another outfielder, in my personal opinion, to the 40-man roster. They have Esteban Flores right now, but he is not ready. We'll go over him in a little bit because he's actually one of my options. But as for Brett Gardner, I would welcome this if he, plays the rest of the season in center field and retires. I think that would be a good option for him, playing a full season rather than just being on the bench. It'd be good for him in terms of, making his way into retirement. But with that being said, this would have to be welcomed by a corresponding move, not just putting Gardner in center. You need more outfield depth. So with that being said, let's go on to another person. That person is Socrates Brito, who is the center fielder, or at least one of the outfielders for the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre Royal Riders in AAA. This season, he has put up 15 hits in 55 at-bats, 1 home run, 8 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, and a .273 batting average. Very good start for him. In spring training, he really wasn't good. He was hitting close to 100, which isn't good. He is right now, obviously it's different in the minor leagues because they're not focused on analytics. They're not focused on home run or bust. In the majors, I'm scared of that he's going to be that home run or bust player that's going to hit close to maybe, 140, 150, kind of like the Mike Ford, but he's an outfielder. But Socrates Brito is an option based off of his success starting out this year. 1 home run, 8 RBIs, .273 batting average, like I explained. I don't think he would automatically be the starter. Ryan Lamar was the starter by default, I guess. They didn't want to put Gardner in, or they did actually put Gardner in, but Frazier had that neck injury. So that's why he sat out a couple of days, and Ryan Lamar eventually went on the IL. So that's why he was forced to start. And then he was put on the IL. But my point is that Socrates Brito, if he comes up and Frazier's okay, he's not going to be the starter. He's going to be the backup. Then they will rotate him in. But that doesn't mean he's going to be earning the center field job right away. They would have to move him around, do whatever they need to. And he's just a player coming off the bench, which is something I wouldn't have a problem with. But if it was me, I would probably, stick to Gardy, call him up, and see what's what. So Socrates Brito is another option for the New York Yankees to call up from AAA. They would have to put him on the 40-man. Esteban Flores is the only outfielder. And speaking of the devil, here he is. Let me pull up all of his stats right away. Obviously, I split it between Somerset and Scranton-Wilkes-Barre, but in total, this year he's gotten 64 ABs, 13 hits, 6 homers, 9 RBIs, and a .203 batting average. My personal opinion, he's not ready. He is not ready for the major leagues. And I know a lot of people are excited. I'm excited, or was excited. He had a great start in Somerset, but it only balanced out to a .229 average. And ever since he's come up, I think it's 7 games now he's in Scranton-Wilkes-Barre. Yeah, he's hit 2 home runs, but 172 batting average. That's what I'm scared about, because if you're hitting a home run or bust player in the minor leagues to start the season, what are you going to be in the major leagues when it's better pitching? That's what I'm scared about. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about him as a fielder or anything like that, but in terms of hitting, he is not there yet. He needs to play a couple more games in Scranton Wilkes-Barre and get the feel of a closer to the major league level. Last year they called him up, he wasn't ready. Yeah, he was 1 for 3 against the Mets, but my point is that he was not ready. He was in the alternate site. They did not have a minor league season last year. That's the excuse I give there. But when you have a minor league season, you have minor league teams playing, give him more playing time, let him play more games, then when he's ready, call him up. The next player is from the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, but unfortunately he is on the 7-day IL right now. His name is Trey Amburgey. He is more of a right fielder and a left fielder, but he's been in the system for years. I honestly think he should be called up quite soon. With the Aaron Hicks opportunity, I think he could just be a depth outfielder, not necessarily a starter right away, but before he went on the IL in the minor leagues, he had 22 at-bats, 10 hits in those 22 at-bats, 3 homers, 12 RBIs, 455 average. Now, I know a lot of people are crazed about getting outfielders the trade deadline. These guys have been sitting in the minor leagues for years. Trey Amburgey is one of them. Chris Gittens is another, but he's a first baseman. They've been sitting in the minor league for years, and a lot of people have forgotten about these type of players. They're not prospects. They're not regarded as great, even though they're hitting well. They're doing well in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Somerset, whatever. If you want to check out the full report on Trey Amburgey, I would suggest you go to Pinstripe Prospects. They did a whole interview with them. They do a lot of good stuff related to minor league players. So Trey Amburgey, not necessarily as a center fielder, I would call him up once he comes off the IL. I would select his contract and put him as a backup outfielder and slowly put his playing time, increasing. But the way I would start it is put Amburgey as a backup. Left field be Frazier, center field be Gardner, right field be Judge, stand DH or whoever the DH, and then continue from there. But I think Amburgey needs to get his opportunity at some point, or else it's going to be, a wasted career. Because, once again, the Yankees, whoever is not regarded as a prospect, goes down there for at least 10 years. Kyle Higashioka, he did have some injury issues, but Chris Gittens has been down there since 2014. Trey Amburgey, I believe, since 2013 or 2015. If those years are wrong, I apologize, but he's been down there for years, and I feel that he should be getting his opportunity soon. So with that being said, we have about one more player that's actually in the system. He's in the same situation as Trey Amburgey in terms of being on the IL. That's Greg Allen, a guy the Yankees acquired this offseason from the San Diego Padres. Before he hit the IL, 7 hits in 28 at-bats with a .250 batting average, 3 stolen bases. So he's the speedy type of guy. He's going to be the backup type of guy if the Yankees do intend on calling him up. He could start a couple of games, but he's not going to start, every game. He's not a Brett Gardner. He's not Clint Frazier, Aaron Judge, whatever. He's a backup player who provides speed on the bases. So if the Yankees need a runner on second in the extra innings, or they need a runner on first in the bottom of the ninth, hey, you could put him there, and he's a speed guy. He runs the bases well. He does that well. And he's a decent hitter, .250. That's not a bad average, especially if you put that in the major leagues. .250 is not a bad average. Probably one of the best on the Yankees squad, balanced out with at-bats, because it's home run or bust. That's what baseball has become in these last couple of years. It's unfortunate to say, but that is what it is. That's the truth. That's the reality. So Greg Allen, probably the same situation with Amburgey. He would probably get called up, get more playing time over Amburgey. I'm not saying both call him up at the same time, but comparisons, he would probably get a little more playing time than Amburgey would. Brett Gardner and him could rotate for center field. Maybe him and Clint Frazier rotate for left field. I think they were actually teammates back in Cleveland. So with that being said, that's Greg Allen. Now we move to out of roster players options. So let's move on to somebody who has actually been in the trade talks, Delino DeShields. Right now, he's in Round Rock, which I believe is still the AAA affiliate of the Texas Rangers. Before that, I believe he was in Cleveland. Before that, he was in Texas. So if they're not of the Texas Rangers, I remain wrong. I apologize. So thus far, he's gotten a good start in AAA. 42 at-bats, 8 runs, 17 hits, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and a .405 batting average with 2 stolen bases. And in his major league career, he hasn't necessarily been bad in the last couple of years. Cleveland last year at .252 batting average. That's something I look at. .249 batting average the year before. In 2017, a .269 batting average. I think he actually hit like 6 homers that year, or 622, something like that. I'm reading it off a little bit. 2017, he hit 6 home runs. So he's not necessarily the home run hitter, and I don't expect him to be, nor do I want him to be. He looks like he just hits for average, gets the base hits, doubles, triples, whatever. And I'm not against this, but I will remind Yankee fans, this is what happens every year. We try to trade for a pitcher, we try to trade for an outfielder, we try to trade for a first baseman, infielder, whatever, and then come next year, this is not football, this ain't the NBA, this ain't football either, where you just release players, they're free agents on one-year contracts. No, what happens is they, you acquire the player, and then next year you get an even more loaded outfield. Aaron Hicks, let's just say he returns next year. Maybe Socrates Brito or Greg Allen returns. Clint Frazier returns. Maybe they sign another veteran outfielder for Brett Gardner to be replaced. Who knows? But I'm going to remind you, and I'm, once again, not against this because he's a good hitter as of right now in the minor leagues. But with that being said, let's remark that we're going to have a loaded outfield next year. Probably. And if I'm wrong on that, I will come back and say, hey, listen, I was wrong in this video. So, final contestant, who's really not a center fielder, but can be factored in. He's a right fielder. And I'm saying this because it's trade deadline worthy. Charlie Blackmon. The Rockies have been an absolute crap show the last couple of months, trading Arenado, their GM resigning, 2-3 months after. It's a whole shit show in Colorado. But my point is, in this, he's a potential option. And he's not Joey Gallo where he hits a 208 average with 13 home runs and 40 RBIs. In the last couple of years, he's actually been decent for the Rockies. He's primarily a right fielder, but I guess in the situation, if the Yankees even traded for him, they would probably put him in center field, left field, a la the Alex Rodriguez thing. If anyone knows what happened with that, he played shortstop, then he moved over to third base. But if the Yankees traded for Blackmon, they would probably put him in center field. Gardner as the backup once again. They would not trade for somebody who's getting $16 million a year and then put him as backup. That would kind of make no sense right there. So in the last couple of years, Charlie Blackmon, as I said, he has not been bad. In the last couple of years, let's take a look at his stats that I'm looking at on MLB.com. 303 batting average last year, 314 the year before, 286. I think it was in a rehab assignment in Albuquerque in 2019. 291 the year before with Colorado. Solid hitter. He hits home runs, but he's a solid hitter. Solid hitter. In his career, he's hit 181 home runs, but that batting average is still over 300. That's what I like to see out of a player. A lot of the players who hit, tremendous amount of home runs, they are like 190, 200. A lot of people are clamoring for Joey Gallo and Derek Dietrich coming up. Meanwhile, yes, they're power hitters, but they don't have a great batting average. And that's something I look at because home runs are not everything. Singles, pinch hit, doubles, who cares? Base hits, that's what I look at. I don't look at just home runs. I don't look at strikeouts, just that, groundouts, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is this guy, he hits home runs and he makes it good with the batting average. Batting average, 302 in his career. So that's what I like to see out of Charlie Blackmon, but he would probably transition to center field if the Yankees acquire him. David Dahl is also an option, but I don't think the Yankees are getting him. I think he's with Texas now, if I'm not mistaken, but he's not necessarily the greatest hitter. My personal opinion from what I've seen. So with that being said, it's a short video, but guys, if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that notification button so you get notified when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all. Stay cool. Peace out.